It all began in the silence of the pre-dawn sky over the Persian Gulf. March 28, 2026, 2:45 local time. The American base at Dhafra, just 30 kilometers from Abu Dhabi and about an hour's drive from glittering Dubai, seemed like an impregnable fortress. Elite U.S. Air Force assets were stationed here. Squadrons of F-35 Lightning IIs, MQ-9 Reaper drones, KC-135 Stratotanker refuelers, and intelligence platforms. This base wasn't just an airfield. It was the nerve center of regional operations, the place for which strikes on Iran were coordinated after AB Two-Spirit erased Khamenei inside his own residence. The Americans knew revenge was inevitable, but they were ready. Colonel James Reynolds, the base commander, stood in the command center, staring at the radar screens. Something's moving beyond the horizon, an operator whispered. The first warning didn't arrive like thunder. It came like a quiet chime, a mismatch between /TPY, 2 ground radar data, and satellite updates. The difference was 0.5 arc minutes. Not critical, but unsettling. The Iranians had switched on jammers, trying to blind the systems. This isn't a storm, guys. It's them, Reynolds said, issuing the order. Raise readiness. Iron Dome, arm it. Iron Dome wasn't just air defense. It was an Israeli system deployed at the base in partnership with the U.S. and the UAE after the escalation. Hundreds of sensors, launchers loaded with Tamir interceptors capable of engaging targets out to 70 kilometers, paired with American Patriot PAC-3 and THAAD, it formed a layered shield meant to stop an apocalypse. The U.S. had reinforced the base after the strike on Oasis in Dubai. Additional batteries, backup generators, even underground bunkers for crews. But Iran hadn't been idle. After Khamenei's death, the IRGC gathered everything it had left, 112 ballistic missiles and 75 Shahed drones, the most massive attack in the region's history. Outside, the base held its breath. F-35 sat in hangars, ready to launch. Soldiers in masks checked their weapons. The sky above the desert was clear, but the spectrum was choked with interference. Sector 087, multiple contacts. The radar tech reported. That was the first wave. 40 Shahed drones, flying low at a locust swarm. They carried explosives and decoys to overload air defenses. The Iranians were betting the drones would distract, and the missiles would finish the job. Iron Dome snapped awake instantly. Radars acquired the targets. Algorithms calculated their paths. Launch. The command went out. Dozens of Tamir interceptors shot upward, leaving white trails. Explosions bloomed like fireworks. 38 drones were torn apart, fragments raining into the desert. 2 pushed closer, but Patriot finished them on approach. First wave neutralized, the operator shouted, but the relief didn't last. The screens flickered. The second wave, 112 missiles, hypersonic gliders maneuvering at Mach 6+. Reynolds clenched his fist. This is for Khamenei. Hold the line, boys. Sirens shook the base. Crews sprinted toward aircraft, medics prepped stations. THAAD, the system built for ballistic threats, launched its first interceptors. The sky filled with streaks. Iranian missiles came in pulses. The first were decoys, wrapped in jamming to blind radars. The next were real, some with separating warheads. Contact! 45 targets at 120 kilometers, the radar tech screamed. Iron Dome ran like a machine. Each battery tracked 10 targets at once. Engage Sector 3. Tamirs climbed, correcting course mid-flight. Blast after blast. 60 targets destroyed high above, but 20 leaked lower. Patriot took over, and /MPQ, 65 radars caught their maneuvers. MSE interceptors drove straight into them. 18 more were killed. 2 fell into the desert without touching the base. We're holding. Reynolds smiled through sweat. Iran didn't stop. The third wave, mixed Shaheds and Fates, 32 targets. Drones low, missiles high. Air defense overloaded. One Shahed slipped through to within 5 kilometers, detonated near the fence, damaging the perimeter. But the base held. Minimal damage, came the report. The Americans countered. F-35s launched and moved to intercept the remaining drones. The sky over the Gulf became a battlefield. This wasn't just defense. It was a triumph of technology. Iron Dome, Patriot, THAAD, a shield that stopped 187 incoming targets. Iran was furious. Its invincible strike had failed. But what came next? After the B-2 Spirit strike on Khamenei's residence in Tehran, Iran boiled with rage. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, IRGC, took control. Mohammad Bagheri, the new leader, convened a council in a bunker beneath the Zagros Mountains. America killed our leader in the heart of the capital. We will burn their sky over the Persian Gulf. His words echoed through the rooms. The plan was ambitious. Not just a strike, but a demonstration of force. The target was Al Dhafra Air Base, the base from which those same B-2s and F-35s took off. Preparations were kept secret. In the mountains near Semnan and the Zagros, mobile launchers were activated. Khaybar Shiken, hypersonic, up to Mach 8, with terminal phase maneuvering. Fateh 360, accurate, fitted with decoy warheads. Shahed 136 and Shahed 238. Kamikaze drones, cheap but deadly in mass. The Iranians amassed 187 units, 112 missiles, and 75 drones. It'll be like a tsunami, an engineer said, tuning jammers to blind satellites. Intelligence operations were pushed to the limit. Iranian reconnaissance drones loitered over the Gulf, scanning Al Dhafra. They knew the base had been reinforced. Iron Dome, an Israeli system, had been deployed here after the Abraham Accords. The United States integrated it with Patriot and THAAD. They think the shield is impenetrable. Will prove otherwise. Bagheri ordered a launch at 2:50. The first wave, 40 Shaheds, came in low, masking themselves as civilian traffic. Their job was to overload radars, to create noise. The second, 112 missiles, followed in waves at 30-second intervals. The third was mixed, meant to finish the job. The Iranians were counting on a breakthrough, even a 10% hit rate, and the base is paralyzed. But at Al Dhafra, they knew U.S. intelligence intercepted signals. Attack imminent. James Reynolds activated the Gulf Shield Protocol. Iron Dome, with its EL/M 2084 radars, picked up targets at 100 kilometers. Batteries charged. THAAD on the high-altitude layer. A technician reported. The base went still, F-35s in shelters, personnel in bunkers. When the wave arrived, the sky exploded. Tamir interceptor missiles, about $50,000 apiece, raced to meet the Shaheds. Explosions lit up the desert. 38 out of 40 clean. Patriot took the missiles. Its MSE interceptors maneuvered, knocking down hypersonic gliders. THAAD, against ballistic threats, worked at 150 kilometers altitude, tearing targets apart in the stratosphere. In the bunker, the Iranians watched the telemetry. Losses 90%. Bagheri clenched his teeth. Continue, but there were almost no penetrations. One drone detonated near the perimeter, light damage. Missiles fell into the sand. This is a fiasco, the aide whispered. The Americans exulted. The shield holds. But the tension kept rising. The third wave was on the way. What if Iran had a trump card? The third wave brought 32 targets. 20 Fateh missiles with cluster warheads, and 12 Shahed drones with reinforced protection. The Iranians changed tactics. The missiles came in with false signatures, mimicking civilian aircraft. The drones carried jamming modules meant to blind the radars. That's their trump card, Reynolds said, watching chaos spread across the screens. SNR was dropping. Interference was choking the signal. Iron Dome adapted. AI algorithms recalculated trajectories in real time. Engage priority targets. Tamirs rose in packs, 15 at a time. The detonations in the sky looked like fireworks. 10 Shaheds were shredded immediately. 2 slipped below 10 kilometers. But Patriot finished them with MSE interceptors, each one costing $4 million. Clean, the operator shouted. The Fatehs were trickier. They maneuvered, changing course. One warhead split into 6, cluster submunitions. THAAD handled the high-altitude threats. 2 destroyed in the stratosphere. But 3 got through. Impact imminent. Sirens wailed. The first missile landed 500 meters from the hangars. Its blast kicked up a sandstorm, but damage was minimal. The second fell closer and damaged a radar. The third hit empty desert. The base shook, but it didn't break. Losses: 1 radar, 3 wounded. The report came in. F-35s launched. 6 aircraft climbed into the sky, hunting the remaining drones. We're engaging, the pilots radioed. The air over the Gulf became an arena. Tracers, explosions, smoke. In the bunker, the Iranians stared at the numbers. Hits? Only 2%. But Gary snapped. This is a failure. Their attack, costing billions, had sunk into sand. The Americans had lost almost nothing. The base was still functional. But the real heroes were the air defense technicians. Sergeant Adams, an Iron Dome operator, was manually fine-tuning tracks. 1 more. His battery alone had downed 28 targets. So this is for Khamenei? Here's your change, he joked through sweat. The climax had passed. Iran backed off. But what would the world say? By 4 o'clock, the attack had faded out. Smoke from debris hung over Dhafra, but the base was still standing. Losses: 5 wounded, 1 radar damage, but operational capability remained at 95%. Out of 187 Iranian targets, 184 were intercepted. Iran lost billions in hardware and prestige. In Washington, this is a triumph. Iron Dome proved it. We're protected. The U.S. president, whoever was in office in 2026, declared, Iran is the aggressor. We will strengthen our presence. Israel, our system saved our allies. The UAE, thanks to air defense, Dubai is safe. Iran, officially success, but inside, panic. Missile stockpiles depleted. The economy in shock as sanctions tightened. Protests in Tehran. Why this war? The world, oil up 12%, markets down. The UN convened an emergency session. Experts, this is escalation, but air defense is changing the rules. Lessons, technology decides. Iron Dome becomes a symbol. America is unbeatable. Thanks for watching. What do you think? Will Iran try again? Drop a comment. See you next time